Welcome back to The Mentors. This is Sergei. My co-host Vadim is traveling this weekend in Washington, D.C. He is with a very good friend of ours, but the topic that I want to talk to you today in Vadim's absence is inspiration from a fiction book that I'm reading. It's a book written in 2001 by Spanish author Carlos Ruiz Zafon, and it is set in post-Civil War Spain in Barcelona. It's called Shadow of the Wind. It was an international bestseller in 2001 when it was written. It's been translated to a bunch of different languages, and you should definitely check it out. It's just a fun book, easy read, but there's one quote in particular, and mind you, this book is set in the 1930s and the 1940s, and one of the characters is particularly loose-tongued, if you will, and he's talking to a teenaged boy who is trying to go after this girl that he likes, but he's hesitant. And so the words of wisdom that this character tells him are the following. Look, Daniel, destiny is usually just right around the corner. Like a thief, a hooker, or a lottery vendor, its three most common personifications. But what destiny does not do is home visits. You have to go for it. I love that line. Destiny does not do home visits. You have to go for it. What it means to me is that you actually have to buy the lottery ticket, right? The people that win are the people that give themselves a chance to win in the first place. They go after it, they show up. And this quote reminds me of something that I observed this week at my job, where a company reached out to me. It's actually pretty funny. An email. The email is fine. The title was funny. The guy said in the title, NYU run $1 million fashion brand, as if to grab my attention. Now, we talk about subject lines, how to get people's attention. Yes, it absolutely got my attention, but this guy I've interacted with in the past over email, he didn't really need to grab my attention to get me to respond to an email, and so it seemed a little bit forced. I kind of chuckled to myself when I read that description, that title. It seemed a little clickbaity, but that's okay. I opened it, and I actually took the meeting with him. I was interested in what they're working on, and in fact, it turned out that they have an athleisure brand. I won't get into exactly what they sell, but they've done some sales, but the subject line was a little bit of a misnomer. They've partnered with another brand in a pretty significant partnership, but still just a partnership where that brand is a multi-million-dollar company selling a completely different product, and now they're partnering on this new product which has relatively low sales. They have something though. I will say I was pretty impressed by some of the hustle that they've shown. They've done pop-up shops for their brand. They've grown their Instagram account to a substantial amount, tens of thousands of followers. So that's great, but they oversold it a little bit, to say the least. And they came to get my opinion on the business, but also to potentially see if we would be willing to invest in their business, if the fund at NYU would be willing to invest. And by the end of the conversation, it was pretty clear that although they had some interesting traction points, a lot of what they were planning on executing on the marketing, on actually getting after their customers, the sales, were still pretty theoretical. They had to test a bunch of different marketing techniques. A lot of them actually still free or relatively low cost, so they don't actually have to raise money. And I actually said to one of the founders, because I wanted to dissuade them from just thinking about fundraising before they got a little bit more traction, before they got after it a little bit more and proved out what they're working on. I mentioned to the founder, if somebody like Spanx, some bigger company, came to you right now and offered to buy you for $50 million, let's say, would you say yes? And most of them were like, I guess, yeah, if it's $50 million, then probably yes. And so I told them, then why raise money right now? If you raise capital from investors, it's more difficult to sell for a lower amount. They kind of backpedaled and said that they believe it could be $1 billion business. And you know what? Maybe it could be. But I told them, why don't you keep your options open? Make a little bit more traction on this business. Prove the marketing ideas that you have and that they will work and that you can get repeatable sales from them. And then go after investment. Once you're proving that you can do things, it gets a little bit easier to raise money. And I want to contrast this to another company, also an e-commerce fashion brand, although in the undergarment market, who we did end up investing in after getting to know the team for, it was longer than 6 months. They've gone through one of our programs. We knew them very well. We could see the traction of the business. In fact, they had a Kickstarter campaign that did like $50,000, and they were showing consistent growth since then, and an ability to actually have a product that works and a customer base that's actually growing, and really convincing us that there is a big market opportunity there through real data and through hustle, to be honest. Both founders started doing the business part-time with full-time commitment. So it's a really important reminder that it's not like everyone that we see out there, like the people that we see on social media, are all just getting lucky. Some people that are doing well, and obviously everybody is just showing their highlight reel, but it's because they get to show the highlights, they have the highlights, because they're actually putting themselves out there and they're trying. So this week, whether it's sending that email that you've been wanting to send, calling that person that you've been wanting to call, whatever it is that you have been putting off, especially if it seems like it's really kind of too big of a risk right now for you to try, or maybe you're not yet in a position to succeed. If you get the opportunity, try anyway. Because as the quote says, destiny is usually just around the corner, but it doesn't do home visits. So you just have to go after it. Have a great beginning of your week, and we're excited to see you on Wednesday with another episode of The Mentors.